Good morning. Now today we'll move to another topic in the second unit, that is steering gear mechanisms. As I stated in very beginning of the second unit, this second unit consists of mainly three parts. The first part is straight line motion mechanisms, which we already discussed, and the second part is steering gear mechanisms that we will discuss in another two lectures, and the last one is hook joint. Okay, the analysis part we will discuss in one lecture, and the problems under that we will discuss in another lecture. So if you look at the syllabus content point of view, the second unit is relatively smaller than third, fourth and fifth units. Hence you can score or you can do well in this particular chapter if you prepare a limited number of topics. Okay, so today's lecture will discuss what is steering gear mechanism, what is the fundamental equation that governs the steering gear mechanism, what are the types of steering gear mechanisms, and we will discuss the first type of steering gear mechanism, that is a Davis steering gear mechanism, and we will see two problems on Davis steering gear mechanism. So you can see here the animation, you can observe that the steering of a four-wheeler is taken into the consideration, and you can see the two tires which are coupled to this stub axles. Okay, they are moving as per the control of the steering mechanism. Okay, so to get such a steering, how we can give the input motion and how we can control the wheels, that we will see in further discussion. So why we have to go for steering mechanism? What is the need of steering gear mechanism? The first need is to avoid skidding. So the first need for steering gear mechanism is to avoid skidding. That means to keep contact between the ground and tire comfortably without lifting the tires from the ground. That is what we call skidding. So to avoid skidding, we need to have a design of good steering mechanism. And the front wheels, the two front wheels, we are talking about steering gear mechanism of four-wheeler. So you are aware of it, there are two front wheels and two rear wheels. So the two front wheels must turn about the same instantaneous center which lies on the axis of the back wheels. So at this moment you are not familiar with what is instantaneous center. Okay, we will discuss this instantaneous center separately in the third unit in detail, and at this moment I will give you an idea about what is instantaneous center in nutshell, not in very detailed fashion, but what it requires here is the two front wheels must turn about the same instantaneous center which lies on the axle of the back wheels. Okay, so you can see here, this is a four-wheeler when it is running in a straight path. Okay, this is a four-wheeler which is running on the straight path, and whereas this is the another diagram which is showing when the vehicle is taking a left turn. You can see here these are two wheels, front wheels, these are two rear wheels. Okay, when the vehicle is taking a left turn, so the rear axle, if you extend the axis line, you get a line like this, and the front two tires, the axis, if you extend, these two axis lines will intersect at the rear axis line. So all these three lines, that is line 1, line 2, line 3. This is front wheel tire 1, this is front wheel tire 2, this is rear wheel tire 1 and rear wheel tire 2. So front wheel tire 1, front wheel tire 2, the axle I am talking about, front wheel axle, okay, and rear wheel rear tire axle 1 and 2. So all these lines will intersect at a point which we call it as a instantaneous center and designated as a I. I is instantaneous center. That means this motion of these four wheels can be treated as a pure rolling with a center of rotation. That center of rotation is this I center. So let me repeat once again. If this vehicle is moving like forward direction, I can assume the wheel of all these four in number are rotating with a imaginary center with virtual center point of I. There is a pure rotation taking place. That is what here we have written. The two front wheels must turn about the same instantaneous center which lies on the axis of the back wheels. That means these rear wheels are back wheel center and the front wheels, two front wheels, okay, their center lines all will intersect at a point called as instantaneous center. Okay. Suppose if you don't fulfill this, that means if this does not happen, the skidding on the front or back wheels will definitely take place. That means if the two front wheels and the two rear wheels will not turn about the same center, then skidding may happen either due to front wheel skidding or back wheel skidding. So to avoid it, so the first thing which we said, skidding avoiding. To avoid skidding, we need a mechanism which is called steering gear mechanism, okay, that will take care about the front wheels and rear wheels. All will revolve with some center. That center is called instantaneous center. That is what here it is shown, I center. Okay. Then let us see why we need steering gear mechanism, or what is steering gear mechanism when we take the help of the steering gear mechanism. So when the vehicle is taking straight path, then you need not change its path, okay, but when you want to take a turn, either left turn or right turn, usually this turning will be taken care by the front wheels. So rear wheels simply follow the front wheels. So the rear wheels simply follow the front wheels. The rear wheels will not have an independent motion. They just blindly follow the front wheels. Okay. Then the back axle is fixed in the direction with reference to the chassis, and the steering is done by means of the front wheels only. Okay, that is what I said. The front wheels will take care to give a turning or a steering, and rear wheels just it guides are followed by the front wheels. So when the vehicle takes the turn, the front wheels along with the respective axis turn about corresponding pivoted points. These are the pivoted points. Okay. These are the pivoted points. So with that pivoted points, they will turn. Okay. So now let us see what is the basic principle that you require for steering correct steering mechanism. Okay. So to satisfy the condition of pure rolling, earlier I said the all four wheels will turn or revolve or rotate with a center called eye center, where there is a pure rotation takes place. Okay, so the steering gear is designed such a way that all the four wheels will revolve with a center called eye center, that is an instantaneous center. So here you can see the diagram. Now I have shown a turn called right turn. In the previous diagram I have shown left turn. So my eye center was on the left side. Now I am taking right turn. This is the right turn. Right turn. These are the two wheels, P and Q, front wheels. Then S and R, rear wheels. Rear wheels. Now with respect to right turn, P wheel is outer, that is outer wheel, and Q wheel is inner wheel. Outer front wheel and inner front wheel. P stands for the wheel corresponding to this, and outer front wheel and inner front wheel. So the inner front wheel makes an angle theta, and the outer one which makes an angle phi with the stub axles. So you can see here, this is the stub axle. Okay, this is the stub axle which makes an angle theta and phi when it takes a turn. So this is the angle theta is making with the horizontal, phi is making an angle with what horizontal, that is inner and outer, where theta is greater than phi. Theta is greater than phi, that is the inner front wheel, okay, is making more than the outer front wheel angle theta and phi. Then L is nothing but the distance between front wheel to rear wheels, that is what we call wheel base. L is nothing but the distance from the front wheel to the rear wheel, front axle to rear axle, that is called wheel base. Then W is the distance between the pivots of the front axles. So this is the pivot of one wheel and this is the pivot of the other wheel. So the distance between the two pivots of the front axles is called W. So the nomenclature goes like this. Theta is the angle made by the inner front wheel, okay, and phi is the angle made by outer front wheel with horizontal, and L is the wheel base and W is the distance between the two pivots of the front wheels. Of course, A is shown the distance between the center of rear wheels. This is A. Okay. Now, from simple geometry, we can write cot phi. If you take a triangle PQ, this is I, okay, PQI. So this is I is the instantaneous center which we have already defined. So in triangle PQI, you can write cot phi is equal to, that is PQ by, this is the triangle PQ, this is not PQ, PTI. This is PTI. In PTI triangle, you can write cot phi is equal to, this is PT by TI. So this is I. This is I. Then the other triangle, that is triangle QTI. This is cot theta is equal to QT by TI. TA. Okay. Then if I write cot phi minus cot theta, cot phi minus cot theta. Okay, that is PT minus QT by TI. So what is PT minus QT? That is PQ by TI. So what is PQ? We defined PQ is W and TI. This is the distance which we denoted L. So that is cot phi minus cot theta is W by L. This is known as the fundamental equation for the correct steering. That means if you want to avoid skidding of the vehicle, the front wheels and rear wheels all should revolve at a center called instantaneous center, that is the point of I, where from the geometry of the two triangles PTI and QTI, I have written cot phi and cot theta values. The subtraction of cot phi and cot theta will give an equation called PQ by TI. PQ is given by W and TI is given by L. So that is cot phi minus cot theta is W by L. So this is known as the fundamental equation for correct steering. So if you fulfill this condition, then you will get a mechanism, a steering gear mechanism, which will avoid skidding of the vehicle when the vehicle is taking a turn. Okay, let us see what are the mechanisms that will fulfill the basic governing equation. There are two steering gear mechanisms are there, named as Davis steering gear and Ackermann steering gear. There are two types of steering gears are there. One is called Davis steering gear and another one is Ackermann steering gear. Then let us have a comparison of this. What is Davis steering gear and what is its advantage and limitation, and what is Ackermann steering gear and what is its advantage and limitation. So in Davis steering gear we have sliding pairs. We have discussed in the first unit there are two basic types of pairs, are turning pairs and sliding pairs. Here in the Davis steering gear, the kinematic pairs are sliding pairs. So when there is a sliding pair, naturally there is a surface contact between the two machine members where there is a more wear and tear. When there is a more wear and tear, there will be more friction. That is why here you can see more friction. But there is one advantage with this Davis steering gear is it fulfills the equation of gearing, that is cot phi minus cot theta is equal to W by L in all positions. So irrespective of any angle which you turn, that it satisfies cot phi minus cot theta is W by L. So that is the main advantage of this. But what is the limitation here? The limitation here is because of sliding pairs, in due course of usage, there will be wear and tear, so you don't get perfect accuracy in the long run of the equipment. So that is the inaccuracy in long running will not happen, inaccuracy will happen, which is because of wear and tear due to the sliding pair. Okay, that is the limitation and advantage of Davis steering gear. Then what about Ackermann steering gear? So sliding pair is replaced by turning pairs. Here you have all turning pairs. When there is a turning pair, naturally the friction will be less and wear and tear is also less. That is why usually it is preferred because you have less wear and less friction. Okay, and the limitation for this is this will not satisfy the law of that is steering gear, that is cot phi minus cot theta w by L in all inclinations. It will satisfy the condition, fundamental equation, only due to only at the extremes and one mid position. So two extreme positions and one middle position. In these three positions only, it is able to fulfill the condition of the steering gear mechanism perfectly. Okay, so of course each one will have its own advantage and limitations. So Davis steering gear, only one advantage is at any angle it will fulfill the law of steering gear, whereas in the Ackermann steering gear it fulfills the other things like performance point of view. Even it is in long running, you will not get any inaccuracy because the pairs are turning pairs. But the limitation is it can satisfy only the two extreme conditions, two extreme limits, and at the middle position. So today's lecture will confine on to the Davis steering gear mechanism and how it works. Okay, and we'll see a problem on it. So here you can observe the two front wheels, isn't it? That is, this C and D wheels are coupled with a stub axles of P and Q. So this is a stub axle P and this is another stub axle Q, isn't it? So here the steering gears are attached in front of these front wheels like this, and here you have a slider 1 and you have a slider 2. Okay, so by the mechanical linkage you can move the path of these sliders. So there will be a sliding takes place here, there will be a sliding takes place here, there will be sliding takes place all these cases. Okay, so that is what we have said in Davis steering gear. The relative motion is a sliding motion because all these are sliders, so which leads to wear and tear. Okay, so let us see an analysis part like this. The same diagram I have shown when it takes a turn. The previous sketch showing when it is in the straight path, the left and right, the sliders are making an angle alpha with the vertical. Now the vehicle is taking a right turn. When the vehicle is taking a right turn, as we stated already, the outer and inner front wheels, making an angles of phi and theta. This is the inner front wheel makes an angle theta, and this is the outer front wheel makes an angle phi. So you can see here A and B are the initial positions of the linkage when it is in the straight. So at that moment the angle made by this is alpha. So you can observe this is alpha and this is also alpha. Okay, and when it takes a turn, the outer wheel makes an angle phi and the inner wheel makes an angle theta. Then when the slider slides, then the new position of this is K dash and this L dash. This is moving like you have taken a turn. This moves towards K, that is K dash. A is shifted this link towards the right and displaced by an amount of X. Initially this displacement is Y from the vertical, and now it is shifted to a displacement of X. And this is also initially at Y. When it slides an amount of X, this also slides an amount of X. So you can see this has taken into the point of this. So this angle, now you can see this is alpha and this is phi. The new position of K dash will be with an angle of alpha plus phi. And whereas this is making an angle theta, then the new position of this link, that is at L dash, where this angle is alpha minus theta. So this is okay, and so alpha plus phi and alpha minus theta, isn't it? So from simple trigonometry, we can write tan alpha minus theta. You can see here, this is alpha minus theta, tan alpha minus theta. So this is total y and x is subtracted. So tan alpha is opposite side by adjacent side. What is opposite side? Y minus x. And this is defined h, then that is the adjacent side h. So this is the triangle where this is y minus x and this is h, this is alpha minus theta. So tan alpha minus theta is y minus x by h. So tan a minus b, tan a by 1 plus tan a tan b is equal to y minus x by h. So just simply writing once again what is tan alpha, okay? So you can see in this diagram what is tan alpha. So tan alpha is nothing but, so we know this is y and this is h. We know initially this is y and this is h and this is alpha. So tan alpha is equal to y by h. Tan alpha is equal to y by h. So I have written tan alpha plus y by h minus tan theta plus 1 plus y by h tan theta, which is y minus x by h. So simply by taking LCM and rearranging this, I will get y minus h tan theta into h is equal to h plus y tan theta into y minus x. In a similar way, I can write the other one, that is tan phi. Of course, further I have simplified the previous equation. This yh minus h square tan theta, hy minus hx y square tan theta, okay, and yh, that is written here. So rearranging those words, then I get tan theta is equal to hs by y square minus xy plus h square. Okay, so then similar way, how I have written tan phi minus alpha, I can write tan alpha plus phi. So from the geometry of the previous sketch, you can write tan alpha plus phi. So tan alpha plus phi. So what is tan alpha plus phi? So you can see this tan alpha plus phi is nothing but, so in this triangle, okay, this is y and that is x. So y plus x by h. So in a similar way, if I expand tan alpha plus tan phi by 1 minus tan alpha tan phi and writing what is tan alpha, then rearranging, then I get tan phi is equal to hx by y square plus xy plus h square. Okay, so I got tan theta and I got tan phi. So what is the correct steering gear mechanism? Requires cot phi minus cot theta is equal to w by L. So tan theta tan phi reciprocal, that is tan theta, that is 1 by tan theta is cot theta, that is y square minus xy by h square. Then tan phi, 1 by tan phi is cot phi, that is y square plus xy plus h square by hx. This, so rearranging that cot phi and cot theta terms to w by L, by simple simplification, by taking LCM of hx, I can get 2xy by hx is equal to w by L. Then xx get cancelled, then it will be 2y by h. Then y by h can be written as w by 2L.
Then what is y by 2h? Y by h, from the basic equation you have seen, this is y and this is h, this is alpha, then tan alpha is equal to y by h. So I can write the left hand side y by h by tan alpha, then tan alpha is equal to w by 2l. Okay, so if you fulfill the condition of setting the w and l such a way that w by 2l is equal to tan alpha, then it fulfills the Davis steering gear mechanism. So this value alpha is function of w and l. If you select some w and l, so that will give you automatically your alpha. That means you have to set your wheels to the stub axle with vertical with that angle alpha. Okay, so that is what a Davis steering gear mechanism is concerned. Then using this concept, here we are attempting two simple problems, straightforward problem substitution. There is nothing complexity in it. It is only writing the equation and substituting it. Let us see one problem. So the ratio between the width of the front axle and that of the wheelbase of a steering mechanism is 0.44. At an instant when the front inner wheel is turned by 18 degrees, what should be the angle turned by the outer front wheel for perfect steering, isn't it? So he has given the value of W by L. Wheelbase, you can see the front width of the front axle and that of the wheelbase. We defined W is width and wheelbase is L. So he has given the value of W by L is equal to 0.44. Then what is given at an instant? The front inner wheel is turned by 18 degrees. So I have defined theta and phi in the analysis. Theta is the angle made by the inner wheel and phi is the angle made by the outer wheel of the front axle. So he has given theta 18 degrees and W by L is given 0.44. So his objective is to find out what should be the angle turned by the outer front wheel. What do you mean by outer front wheel? Angle phi. So this can be simply obtained by writing a equation cot phi minus cot theta is W by L. So cot phi minus cot theta, theta is given 18, cot 18 and W by L is given in the problem 0.44. So just substitute it, you will get cot theta is equal to 3.518. So cot inverse 3.518, use the phi value which is around 16 degrees. That means you can see the inner and outer wheels are not making same angle for correct steering. That is what very beginning I said. The inner wheel makes more angle than the outer wheel. That is theta is greater than phi. That is what you can observe. Theta 18 degrees and phi 16. So theta is greater than phi. Isn't it? It is a simple problem. Suppose if it is asked in the examination, if you don't know to apply this seems to be a bit difficult. Okay. So let us see in another problem. This is also a substitution problem. So in steering gear mechanisms, the problems are direct substitution type category. So you practice them, and even straight line mechanisms also, they are simple substitution type problems. Only the basic equation which you get in the derivation, that equation is used to convert into your problem solving. So the truck, this is truck, not truck. The truck arm of a Davis steering gear is at a distance of 192 mm from the front main axle, whereas the difference between their lengths is 96 mm. If the distance between the steering pivots of the main axle is 1.4 meters, determine the length of the chassis between the front and rear wheels. Also find the inclination of the truck arms to the longitudinal axis of the vehicle. So what is given? Let us see. Here they have given the distance between the steering pivots of the main axle. So where we write this 1.4 meters, that is the front wheels, that is the steering pivots, that is what we defined in W. Recall the previous sketch which we have denoted, that is W. Then, so the DV steering gear is a distance of 192 mm from the front axle at a distance of, that is the height 192 mm. Okay, and the difference between their lengths is 96 mm. That is total is 96, then y is equal to 96 by 2, which is 48 mm. So this data is given, but it is given in the statement form. We have to convert it in the word form or in the standard terminology which we are using, the width of the track, height and y distances. Then the basic fundamental equation which we have seen, tan alpha, this is alpha, we have written h, y, tan alpha is y by h. So it has given the values of y and h, simply substitute, you get the value of alpha. Okay, so alpha is equal to 14 degrees, isn't it? So tan alpha is equal to W by 2L. Okay, then what is tan alpha? Tan 14 degrees is equal to W by 2L. What is the W? Which is given 1.4. Okay, and this is 2L. So 2L, this is not 1, this is 2L. 2L. So this is tan alpha is equal to W by 2L. So tan 14 degrees is equal to 1.4 by 2L. So where L is equal to 2.8 meters, isn't it? So this is what we said, L is the distance between the front axle and rear axle. That is tan alpha is W by 2L. This is L. So I have typed in a small letter. Okay, and I have written here capital letter. So it is not 1, or it is small l, it seems to be like 1, it is not 1, 2L. So tan 14 degrees is equal to 1.4 by 2L, where L can be calculated simply by substituting 1.4 by 2 tan 14 degrees, which gives L is equal to 2.8 meters. This is also a simple substitution problem. Okay, so these problems are usually not asked in the examination, but they may be asked in your objective questions in the part A or in the quiz examination, or maybe in case if an examiner is interested to ask a problem with a derivation, it can be attached to a part B also. So they are very simple, straightforward substitution type problems. So in the next lecture we will discuss about Ackermann steering gear. Okay, and we will compare the Ackermann steering gear and DV steering gear for the 5th lecture of this unit. Okay, thank you.